Hello, Bodhrán world. I have been meaning to do this video for what seems like forever, and I thought it was just a good opportunity to do it now. After reading kind of the interesting comments around grips and stuff like that that's been going on the last couple of days in the different forums, and this whole North Kerry thing and everything else. So I get loads of questions. This video was all about grips, by the way, grips and how to hold a stick. And I've been getting loads and loads of questions recently from people saying that they're having pains in their wrist, or they're just really struggling kind of with their technique, or their grip is limiting them to certain styles and they're not able to open up. So for those that don't know, I'm Kieran, and I suppose my background is very much Irish traditional music, but at the same time I make my living from playing percussion, and like timpani and tune percussion and all sorts of different things. That's kind of my job, and drum kit. So I'm a drummer basically, and I look at everything, I suppose, from a safety point of view, because I need to still be able to play when I'm 75. So I want to talk about grips, and I want to talk about your position, your body position of how you should hold the sticks. So I'm going to start basically by show you first of all how I hold a stick. So I hold a stick 3/4 of the way up, basically, just here between the thumb and the index finger. And the reason for that is because that's where the natural pivot point is in the majority of sticks. I know a lot of people like hold it in the middle, but there's no swing in that. Whereas if you hold it 3/4 of the way up, it will swing like a pendulum. So it's essentially like a grandfather clock, where you can see that a stick is going and rotating round. And the reason I like holding it there is because it's very easy to do a simple rotation, just to kind of flick the top for double-ended rolls. So just to kind of show you that, basically that's how I play. So So it's a grip that allows you kind of to spin both ways, and the reason to do that is, and I've got a snare drum here beside me to show you why, and I know this is a Bodhrán talk, but I just want to show you anyway. The reason I do it is because there is a science behind holding sticks, and for those that aren't aware, in drums, percussion, there's two main grips. You've got match grip, which obviously is matched, both hands are matched, and it just plays like that. Traditional grip, which was kind of developed in the early 1900s. Well, or way before that. The drum kit was developed properly in the early 1900s, so they used to play like this, and it was developed for marching. So you'd have a snare on its side, obviously when they're marching into battle or whatever it was, and they had to play trad grip, and it's basically, that's how I do it. Like if you form a gun, pop it in here, wrap around. That's how it goes. That's your two kind of grips, and that's exactly why I hold the Bodhrán stick the way I do, because I'm just going to focus on the right hand. The left hand will come in a minute. When I went to college, I was taught properly how to hold sticks, and this is something that for everyone that plays with a bent wrist, I hope you don't hate me forever, but there's a science behind it, and that science is that when we are most relaxed and our body shape and our posture is like this, generally we all sit like this. I mean, I'm not going to generalize it, but 9 out of 10 people will sit comfortably, or it's the same when folding their elbows. You know, you either go over at the right or over at the other way, and that's what this is. So drums or Bodhrán or anything that you play with a stick should be an extension of that arm, and that is why I do it with students and kids. I make them sit and relax really comfortably, as if you're watching television. And if you're watching TV, you pick up the remote and you just flick like this, and it's a perfect line all the way around. This is obviously applies for righties and lefties. So the science behind it is that your muscles are all in shape and they're straight and there's no strain, and your wrist is basically there. So if you let your arm hang loose, your wrist hang loose, that's the shape it's gonna make. It's like turning a doorknob. And to place a drumstick, we slot that in, and that's the perfect shape of playing drums. And if I was to bring back the snare, that's how it falls. So there's none of this, there's nothing taken down. I know I'm using a drum, but I'll show you in a second. The Bodhrán, it's a perfect extension, and that's why the stick is at an angle. those that play drums like this are going to have serious problems, because if you try this yourself, you can feel the strain in your wrist. So taking that to the Bodhrán, I've just essentially developed the same thing except with the Bodhrán stick. So rather than having this, I get back into the same position, play like this, and I pop the stick in here. Now I know it just looks like I'm grabbing it like a baby, but then I get comfortable, and that is why I still grip between the index finger and the thumb, and I get down nice and comfortable, just relax. And then obviously I have to bring it to the Bodhrán, which is the striking angle. So I can't possibly play a Bodhrán like this, so I rotate it slightly and I let the wrist open up and I kind of turn towards the ground, because again, when we're talking, people's hand gestures are all like this. That's generally how it is. It's this sort of thing. So that's what the Bodhrán is. It's like talking. The stick between the thumb and the index, and it's a strike. It's a down and up. And by striking like this, and the angle that we're striking at, I hope you can see it clearly, when you go down, the only way you can come is back up, and vice versa. Again, it's like the pendulum swinging on a clock. I promise you that if you go with something like this, you will have zero wrist pain. You will not have a bent. It's impossible to have a bent wrist. And also that's why you need to hold it 3/4 of the way up, or else the pendulum will not work. That of course means that I kind of strike between, I'm not good at the clock, but it's at 10. So 10 and sort of 5 I think is about where I strike. So I strike across the drum. That's where I would basically strike. And yeah, that's how I hold it. So I don't know if that's top end style or whatever, but it allows me to do single-ended rolls, double-ended rolls, double downs, quite fast playing, really easily, because it's all there. And the rotation, I said, it's just like opening a doorknob. I don't know if people still have them in their house, but it's like opening a doorknob. And the reason that that is so important is because it comes from, well, it doesn't come from, but I can relate it to like marimba technique. So if any percussionists in the groups, it's the rotation for holding 4 sticks. So again, it's the same principle between the index and the thumb, and the rotation here, I'll do it in the Bodhrán, and that'll be played in the instrument behind me. But again, it's all about this rotation of the wrist, and it's the same thing with the Bodhrán, just with an open hand. This video was probably really long, so I'm sorry, I'm going to try and shut it down, but my reason for my tone hand, and I've been teaching quite a bit recently, which is great. I love being home teaching. I have 3 tones. I have a bass, I have a home sound, which that's what I call it, it's just a middle, and I have a top, and I refuse to call it a pop, because to be honest, I don't really like the whole thing. There's a time and a place for it, if you're gigging or whatever on a big stage, it's cool, but I don't like it personally. So I kind of stay in the same area of the drum, purely for recording purposes. It's easy to replicate what you've done, and I have 3 sounds, and it's my bass, my home, my top. And pardon me, the bass is with my hand off, although I keep the fingers on. The home is just resting on the skin, and the top is the same. There's no extra pressure, you're just striking above your hand. And playing with this grip, or my grip, or the angle that I like doing it, it allows you to flick it a little bit more. So it means, I see a lot of Bodhrán players, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they will play kind of changing the angle of the grip all the time, and to play high they go up and they straighten up, and you just don't really have to do that, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with it, it works for people, but you don't have to do it. You just have to keep nice and compact, don't use the shoulder, use the wrist. A nice big bass note off it. And the science behind that, very quickly, comes from my traditional grip snare drum playing. This is my tone hand I'm talking about. So a trad grip, it's the gun, again, without dropping it, it's the gun, and the trad grip falls in here, and that's how it goes. And again, it's a rotation, so when I'm playing tones, I don't slide up and down the drum. I just don't like it personally as well. I rotate, so it's a pressure point. That's the trad grip. With the stick, I'll just use my Bodhrán stick. With the stick in, you take the stick out, that's what it looks like, and then you put it to the Bodhrán, and I'll do it to the head here. That's what it basically becomes looking like. So as you can see, there's a gap between there, and I use the tone ring underneath. So feel around underneath the bearing edge of your tone ring. Should be, I don't know what degree it's at, probably sort of 45, maybe a little bit more. And I rest the tips of my fingers and my thumb in there, and that very rarely comes off out of there. So if I'm playing a bass note, I just literally lift out and I put it back on. Sorry, it's a horrible sound, but and to do that, then I strike above to play the higher sound. And if I want to do kind of pitch bends and stuff like that, I'll press a tiny bit harder, but I'll just rotate back and forth, just like I do playing trad grip. So and that, in a nutshell, is why I hold the stick the way I do, how I do, why I believe that no one should play with a bent wrist. Also why I believe you should play 3/4 of the way up the stick. I know some people still play it in half, and that's absolutely fine. And it's also why I play tone the way I do. So you just don't have to change. Basically, if you go this kind of way, it's simplicity, and you can replicate it all the time, and it's the least strain on any of your limbs, and basically you can just make really, really nice sounds without having to force anything or overplay. One of the things that really drives me mad as a Bodhrán player or as a teacher is just people that overplay. So I'm sorry, this video is at like 11.5 minutes. I'm going to have to put it into 2 parts, but I hope it makes sense. I hope somebody finds it interesting. If not, just remove it. It's absolutely fine. And any questions, just, yeah, you'll get me. It's kleonardmusic.com on the website. I've got a music page, Kieran Leonard Music. My email is kleonardmusic@gmail.com. You're seeing a trend. And then if you're friends with me on Facebook, just shoot me a private message. So hope it was helpful. Cheers.